Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome back to the channel. Now today is going to be another one of those, I guess, like solo kind of videos, off tune kind of videos, where I talk about a TV show or something I like. So, for example, today we're talking about Recovery. Recovery is another TV show. It's kind of like the same thing as my Stoked video I did about 10 months ago now, middle of last year, and how I talked about it. But yeah, I'm going to talk about today why was Recovery so good and how it did its job, why it's my favorite 90s TV show, although I wasn't even alive then, and why it's just one of my favorite TV shows still to this day in general, and why it got cancelled. Why there can never be another show like this ever again. Why is it one of its own? Why is it the best? So yeah, before we unpack all that, if you haven't already subscribed, as I am so close to 400 subscribers and I have stuff coming soon, so watch out for that. Be on the tune, be on the lookout, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's get straight into it. So if you are unaware of what Recovery is, it is it was a music and youth-oriented television series that was broadcast by ABC TV in Australia. The show is aired each Saturday morning from 9 AM to 12 PM following the overnight video clip program Rage, which is still running to this day. Pretty amazing, especially back in the 90s and early 2000s. And it was broadcast from 20th of April 1996 to 29th of April 2000. Yeah, so Recovery was produced live to air, and yeah, it just featured bands and artists coming on, pretty much bands coming on live and playing in Australia, and it was broadcast all around Australia. So yeah, really cool. Yeah, and they had their live sets there. You had people in the audience, most kids and teens, just full on listening to it. Yeah, so each episode pretty much featured a mix of live performances, music videos, or other segments of comedy sketches. So, yeah. So there is a big documentary on the show. That was released, I think, like November 2019. I have seen it a couple times myself. It is amazing. It's awesome. Go check it out somewhere. It should be able to. But yeah, it explains the show and it gets the hosts and everything, and what they look like now and their age when they talk about it. Yeah, so here we go. Recovery was primarily hosted by Dylan Lewis, and Jane Gazzo was in it as well. They were the main two, and my god, Dylan was pretty mess. It's pretty weird, pretty messed. So yeah, it was pretty funny, but it was like his noddle there. It was like he had autism or something. Not to be rude or anything, but yeah, but that's the funny thing. But then at times, like, you knew he was there, and that's what was so cool. It's nice. You're never gonna get that guy back ever again. You're never gonna get someone like Dylan Lewis or Jane Gazzo back ever again. But yeah, so Recovery featured bands such as Green Day, Silverchair, Super Jesus, Regurgitator, Spiderbait, Nirvana, Grinspoon, Frenzel Rom, In Excess, Foo Fighters, Dandy Warhols, Blink 182, Metallica, Tism, Deftones, Sonic Youth, Jebediah, Cake, Midnight Oil, Beck, Garbage, UMI, Korn, The Prodigy, Soundgarden, Veruca Salt, Powderfinger, The Living End, Something for Kate. So that's just a few of the bands. That is most of them. They were on Recovery. Uh, yeah, so pretty big names. All bands pretty much still going, still in business. Yeah, shame that Recovery ended in 2000, as it just kind of went out. Same thing happened as the big day out, so I'm going to get into it right now. Why it stopped, how it stopped, why you're never going to get a show back like this again. You're never going to get another show like Recovery, because music is just totally different now compared to the late 80s, 90s, early 2000s. You're never gonna get like punk, punk rock, hard rock, heavy metal, grunge, 90s alternative rock, alternative punk, alternative grunge. You're never gonna get any of this music back again, unless you have artists that, I guess, or people that are inspired, like me myself, listen to this music and then perform and create bands and get together, or an artist and makes this music and vocalize on it and stuff. You're never gonna get this music back again, unless you get as well, unless you have these bands and they're still going producing this music. And although people's genres and, I guess, tastes do change over time, or they filter, like, you know, your favorite band, they may release a bunch of albums and you love them, um, best case scenario, probably their first album is your favorite, and then their most recent is your least favorite because they've changed genre, or same genre but they've gone different, or they've used different elements and stuff. Same thing as the big day out. Music just shifted into rap, pop, hip hop, etc., and it just faded out because you couldn't get bands on anymore because they were all artists. They're all artists now. Like the world is primarily dominated about artists, not bands. So it's just single people or one artist collaborating with another. People don't even know what the definition of a band is anymore. A band back in the 90s was bloody going down to your garage and jamming out and spinning some sessions out with your best mates. Honestly, that's what it was after school, going home, smash out a guitar riff and put a snare on the drum kit, pretty easy, done. Um, put it up onto whatever, Spotify these days, Apple Music, whatnot, whatever. Yeah, release a vinyl. Kids wouldn't even know what a vinyl is these days, honestly. And yes, I'm a kid talking about this, but like, kids don't know what a vinyl is, honestly. Um, yeah, so you're never gonna get this back again. You're never gonna get these hosts like Dylan Lewis and Jane Gazzo back again. Um, yeah, and what made this show so good? What makes me love it is the bands they got them, because everyone loved this band. Everyone was all about them. This whole generation, a decade, a bit more than that, was all about these bands, and people into them, loved them, and then they got them on the show. So it was obviously, because it's an Australian show, it wasn't just Australian bands. I mean, like, they had Metallica, they had Korn, they had Green Day, they had USA bands, they had bands from all around the world, just outside Australia. They would come and tour around, and then they would tour to Australia. And then I get them on the show, like, hey, you know what? Let's get these guys on the show. Or yeah, people would ask to come on the show. You know, audience would suggest and request people to come on the show, and that's what made it so great. And one of the all-time performances, probably the one that went down in history on Recovery, was Green Day. So they were touring around here in Australia, and then they came on the show, and their newest album had just released, Nimrod, also my favorite, 1997. This was, pretty sure Nimrod had just released, and they had a bit of an interview, obviously, and they were talking about it with Dylan Lewis, being the funny guy he is. Trey's just playing. They're playing with the toys in front of him. I don't even know what he's doing at this point. That's just Trey. Trey is literally the little kid in the waiting room of a doctor's office. um, and then you got Mike, and it's just there. It's probably like the most, I guess, responsible guy there, or Billy and Billy Joe is just there getting interviewed. They were getting interviewed and they were talking. The crowd's going crazy, can't hear a thing. And then Dylan Lewis comes out, shut up at the crowd. It's so funny. Um, and they were talking about, and then you brought up Platypus, I Hate You, a track from the album Nimrod, um, and what it actually meant, what Platypus was about. And they said, obviously, um, probably can't play it because of some of the lyrics in it, if you're unaware. It's heaps of swearing, I guess, coarse language. Um, and yeah, and then Trey's like, oh, we can recite some of the lyrics. So the whole crowd, keep in mind, these were like teenagers, like, yeah, 13 to 18-year-olds, you know, and they're all there sitting, all screaming out or yelling out, Platypus, come on, play Platypus, I Hate You, or at least recite some lyrics. And remember, this is broadcast from 9 to 12 a.m. on a Saturday morning for kids all around Australia. So it has to be family friendly, obviously. Um, yeah, and then they're in the middle of the interview, they get up and then they just stop playing. What the heck? And it's like, Dylan Lewis, they can't do this. They can't do this. The pure shock on his face. You can't explain something better than Vector saying "oh poop" at the end of Despicable Me, realizing that he's stuck on the moon. That is the definition of Dylan Lewis's face when they get up and stop playing.
Oh, poop.
And then they're like, oh, what should we play? What should we play? Everyone's wanting Platypus. Everyone's wanting Platypus. I and then I don't know what it was. Dylan just like turns on their side. It's like Platypus, and he's just yelling out Platypus. It's like, hurry up, this is live. It's so funny. And everyone thinks, oh, they're gonna play Platypus IHG, the song that they can't play because it's family friendly. And they started off with Platypus, and they, with the guitar riff for it, and they go into the Grouch. So yeah, that was pretty awesome. Bit of swearing in that, but nowhere near as much, and they just jammed out to the Grouch. So yeah, they put a bit of shock in the show, and the host there. That was pretty funny. So yeah, it's probably the most memorable and historical, I guess, band or meeting on Recovery. That was Green Day. Yeah, so some of my personal favorites, and bands that played live really, really well were Jebediah, Bush, Spiderbait, Super Jesus, Green Day, and Grinspoon. They all played live really, really well. Especially Jebediah and Bush. They all play exactly like they sound. Like there is no difference. With Green Day, they play really differently to how they sound, but it's, I guess, that way the album is produced and they're in the studio. I mean, like, you even have Metallica on here, and Korn, and Foo Fighters, a big one, Soundgarden. Yeah, so it was massive. You're never going to get a show like it. How did it become so successful? Because it was broadcasted every morning between 9 and 12 every Saturday morning. And the kids loved it. That was the music at the time. And it was practically just like, alright. It was like, they just let anyone do whatever they wanted. Dylan Lewis kind of just did what he wanted, but he had a script and he went off what he needed to do, but did it the way he wanted to do it. And then bands like Green Day, they just did not give two craps and just did do what they wanted to do. You know, they just took everything into their own hands, and it was, yeah, kind of like a mosh pit. The entire studio and the live set was a literal mosh pit. So that, yeah, you're never gonna get a show like this. That's why it became so successful, and everyone enjoyed it, and everyone was there. But yeah, I do have a playlist linked to my channel called ABC's Recovery. By Late for the Sky, big shout out to you. That's the creator. They put together all these clips from the lifetime of the show, Recovery. And yeah, put them in a place together, about 336 videos, I think, of interviews, playing, etc., whatever, bands coming on, artists coming on. A couple of the videos are deleted, and a bunch of them you can't view in the country. I don't know why, it sucks, even though they're Australian bands, some of them. But yeah, watch what you can from it. Absolutely amazing. But I think that's going to wrap up today's video on Recovery. Check out the documentary. You're never going to get a show like this ever again. That's probably why it ended. I'm pretty sure it's because it just faded out and you couldn't get fans and artists on. Same with the Big Day Out, as I mentioned already. If you don't know what the Big Day Out is, it was pretty much just a big live concert kind of with just all these bands coming on. It was practically Recovery, but live in a stadium around different states in Australia. And all these bands just came together and played. It was pretty much just a compilation of Recovery. It's a good way to put it. It was amazing. So yeah, that kind of died out about 10 years ago. And yeah, so that's going to wrap it up for today's video. If you haven't already subscribed, once again, please subscribe, as we are so close to 450 subscribers.